Welcome everyone to this afternoon meditation, and we'll have a discussion session as well afterwards. But to start with, I'm just going to do a meditation on today's text reading from A Course in Miracles, which is section 7 of chapter 1, Distortions of Miracle Impulses. So just sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart. If you're sitting on a chair, cup your hands in your lap, keep your back straight. You can sit in your favorite meditation posture if you prefer. So that might be sitting cross-legged on the floor. You can sit up in bed with your legs out in front of you. The only real requirements are to make sure you're comfortable and your back is straight, because we're going to be doing some breathing and the raising of the life for Kundalini energy up the spine. So having said all that, making sure you're comfortable, phones on mute or silent or switched off, close your eyes. And just start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing in, notice how the stomach rises. Chest rises. It's the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench your sphincter muscle. It's the muscle used to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. And just feel this lovely warm, tingling sensation, this wave of energy, if you like, rising up from the lower stomach into your heart center. Just put one hand on your heart center, just to connect in with your heart space, bringing your attention completely into the present moment. And just draw the energy all the way up the spine, this nice warm tingling thread of energy just rising up into the crown of your head. Pause at the top of the inhale. Take another sip of air in at the top. Just find some stillness, some peace. Scan your mind and just notice any thoughts and emotions going on there. Particularly anything that's feels negative or contracted or constricting by nature. Little thoughts of anxiety, fear, perhaps some thoughts about the past, resentment, anger, usually come from the past. So you're just going to look at all of that. Notice the emotions that go along with them. Notice the energy, frequency of energy. And maybe that shows up in your body physically as a knot in your stomach, a tightness in your chest, a clenched jaw, clenched fists, dry mouth, sweaty palms. Just tension somewhere in your neck and shoulders. So just breathe into those areas where you're experiencing tension. And just feel that tension dissipating. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do. Just Be still, be present here now for the next half an hour and just release. This is all about letting go. You can always pick the thoughts and the emotions up again after this if you really want to, but for now just let them go with your breath. So blow it all out. Just letting go of the thoughts, the emotions, the energy. Imagine it's leaving you like dark grey or black smoke out of your mouth. Just releasing. All of it to the nothingness it really is. The clouds have no power to obscure the sun, which is your source, or the eternal sky, which is your awareness of the source. You just blow them away with the wind of your breath. Blow the last ones away, pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out, and just be still, be silent for the next while, just a few seconds. Pause at the bottom of the exhale. Smile, just connecting in with this deeper place in your mind, this place of peace, stillness, and silence, which is always there but normally obscured by your thinking. And now breathe in again. Again, just breathing into the stomach. Feeling like the stomach is blowing up like a light-filled balloon. You can imagine beautiful golden or white light flowing in. Clench the sphincter muscle to lock that light in. Simultaneously, it pumps this light energy up the spine into your heart center. Draw it up with your breath into the heart center. Put one hand on your heart just to connect in with your heart space. Bringing your mind completely into the present moment by focusing all your attention on these subtle sensations of the breath. And then drawing it up into your upper chest, your upper back, into the crown of your head. Just pause at the top of the inhale. Smile as you connect with the presence of love. There's also peace there, there's happiness, joy. It's all there. Just smile. As you're coming into an awareness of who you really are. And now exhale, just sigh it all out. This time keep your mouth closed. Air comes out of your nostrils. Make a little sighing sound, as though you're fogging sunglasses. You keep your mouth closed. So you just sigh it all out. Notice the vibration in your throat. Air flows out of the nostrils, the chest and the stomach just suck back in gently. And the energy subsides back down from the crown of your head, down the front channel of your body, coming to rest in your lower stomach and the spine. And you just, again, pause at the bottom of the exhale, smile as you connect with this vast, empty, open, spacious awareness, getting a little glimpse of infinity and eternity. And if that doesn't make you smile, nothing will. And so just breathe in again and notice all these subtle sensations of the breath, the stomach rising, the chest rising, air flowing in through the nostrils, rising up of this life or kundalini energy like a warm tingling thread, a wave just flowing up the spine, cresting in the crown of your head. This wave of energy just pausing there, freeze frame the wave, and then smile again as you connect with this infinite eternal presence in your mind. And then you exhale, sigh it all out, letting it all go. Like that vibration in your throat called the Ujjayi breath in yoga. Air flows out of the nostrils, and feel that life energy just coming down the front channel of your body, coming to rest in your lower stomach, your groin. So just keep breathing this nice, deep, slow, rhythmical pattern as you listen to these profound words I'm going to share with you. Just let the breath keep your mind nice and still, calm, empty, open, but aware. As you listen to this section 7 of chapter 1, it's the last section, on distortions of miracle impulses. And listen energetically. So listen in a way that you feel what the words are really pointing to. It's not just about intellectually understanding. The most important thing is to experience, to feel what they're pointing to, which is this infinite, transcendent reality, this love. It's a word for it, this peace that you experience when you connect with that, when you're aware of it, joy, happiness. And if the words are taking you into those states of mind, of being, then they are truly working, they're doing what they're meant to do. Intellectual understanding will come of itself once you've had the experience. So just keep watching your breath, nice, deep, slow, rhythmical breaths, breathing in and out through the nose, watching the part of your mind, all the subtle sensations of the breath, air flowing in through the nostrils, chest and the stomach rising. You can imagine this life energy rising up the spine and feel a warm, tingling sensation. Just tuning into all of this, keeping a part of your mind connected to that, and letting these ideas just drop in, plop, like little pebbles into the pond of your mind. Imagine that pond is very still, very calm, like a pond on a windless day, absolutely glassy surface. And because your mind is so still, the ripple effects are going to be noticeable. Each word, each sentence just will ripple into your subconscious mind. These ideas and the frequency of the energy permeates into a deeper part of your mind where the ego resides, in your subconscious. And this is where the undoing needs to happen. So if you listen in this way, you are doing much to undo the ego's hold on your mind. So keep watching your breath as you listen to what our teacher Jesus has to say about distortions of miracle impulses. So he says your distorted perceptions produce a dense cover over miracle impulses, making it hard for them to reach your own awareness. The confusion of miracle impulses with physical impulses is a major perceptual distortion. Physical impulses are misdirected miracle impulses. All real pleasure comes from doing God's will or love's will. This is because not doing it is a denial of self, capital Self. Denial of self results in illusions, while correction of the error brings release from it. Do not deceive yourself into believing that you can relate in peace to God, to this eternal loving presence, or to your brothers with anything external. So just pause, connect with your breath, making sure you're staying in that nice, deep, calm, connected place. Just let the breath breathe you, just watching it. Keeping your mind nice and still, calm, empty, open, but aware. It's an empty vessel. You're emptying the mind and allowing these ideas and the energy they carry to penetrate deeply, to permeate into your mind. So let's continue with paragraph 2. Child of God, or extension of this infinite loving presence that you can call God or whatever you want. You were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Do not forget this. The love of God, for a little while, must still be expressed through one body to another, because vision is still so dim. You can use your body best to help you enlarge your perception, so you can achieve real vision, of which the physical eye is incapable. Learning to do this is the body's only true usefulness. So just pause, take a nice deep breath in. Imagine you breathing in light, beautiful golden or white light that is not of this world. If you don't see very well, you don't visualize, that's fine. Just feel a sense of openness, expansiveness coming in. Breathing it into every pore of your body, every cell, every muscle. And into every corner of your mind. As Jesus is saying, the only purpose of your body is to help you achieve real vision, which is not of the body's eyes. The real vision is this perfect light, perfect holiness, which is within your mind. It has nothing to do with your body's eyes. As he says, of which the physical eye is incapable. You will never see the true light with the physical eyes. And this is the body's only true usefulness. Let's take another sip of air and feel your entire being, your body, your mind, very fiber of your being is infused with this light. This is true vision. And you smile because you're in the light. You're finally coming into true vision, finally starting to see the truth beyond the illusion of the physical appearances that seem to be the reality in this world. And then Jesus continues, fantasy is a distorted form of vision. Fantasies of any kind are distortions because they always involve twisting perception into unreality. Actions that stem from distortions are literally the reactions of those who know not what they do. And so as you exhale, just let go of these fantasies, which are just attempts to control reality according to false needs. Just dropping the false needs with the breath, just to help you. We make up needs and we make up fantasies in an illusory world to seemingly meet those needs. And so we twist reality all the time. As he says, twist reality in any way and you're perceiving destructively. Fantasies are a means of making false associations and attempting to obtain pleasure from them. So pull the lower stomach into the spine and just blow all these fantasies out, whatever they may be. Fantasies of anything that's going to satisfy you in this world. People, places, events, experiences. They're going to bring you some kind of pleasure. They're going to fill the void, fill the hole that you're looking to fill with some external means. Trying to obtain pleasure from these. But that pleasure, as we know, is very fleeting. It doesn't last. Every addict who's addicted to fantasies of one kind or another, knows that the high never lasts. In fact, it's very fleeting, and then you need more of what you think you need in order to fill the hole, in order to obtain some kind of pleasure. And then it becomes harder and harder to obtain pleasure because there's no substance there, there's no true reality. As Jesus says, although you can perceive false associations, you can never make them real except to yourself. You believe in what you make. If you offer miracles, you will be equally strong in your belief in them. The strength of your conviction will then sustain the belief of the miracle receiver. And so fantasies become totally unnecessary as the wholly satisfying nature of reality becomes apparent to both giver and receiver. Breathe in this true reality, the ground of being again. Feeling the wholeness, the satisfying nature of that. Just, there's nothing external that's required. It's satisfying in and of itself. Just to immerse yourself in truth, in reality. Brings a wholeness and a completeness and a satisfaction that nothing in this world can match. So this reality is, quote, lost through usurpation, which produces tyranny. It's talking about the ego distorting, denying, twisting reality. As long as a single, quote, slave remains to walk the earth, your release is not complete. Complete restoration of the sonship is the only goal of the miracle-minded. So exhale, just have a sense of extending this reality that hopefully you've touched, the light, the truth to everyone. So as long as a single slave, in other words, a single person remains to walk the earth, your release is not complete. Atonement or at-one-ment is total. Every single person, every single living creature will return to God at some point. And only when that goal has been achieved, when the mind is one again, the illusion of separation has disappeared entirely to the nothingness it really is, only then can you be truly free. Your release is not complete until then, which I guess is why Jesus is teaching us still. He realizes that he will only be free once the sonship is restored. And so he remains to teach us to bring our minds back to reality through these powerful words and mind training exercises, which we're going to start the workbook tomorrow. As he says, this is a course in mind training. All learning involves attention and study at some level. Some of the later parts of the course rest too heavily on these earlier sections, not to require their careful study. You will also need some preparation. You also need them for preparation. Without this, you may become much too fearful of what is to come to make constructive use of it. However, as you study these earlier sections, you will begin to see some of the implications that will be amplified later on. So just pause, reflect on that, breathing in and out through your nose. The start of a profound journey. There's 30 more chapters of the text to go, 365 lessons of the workbook, 92 pages of questions and answers in the manual for teachers, a clarification of terms, and some extra bits like the song of prayer and the psychotherapy edition. This is a profound work, which if you will study it carefully, as he says, it requires attention and study at some level. It will change your life entirely. We're just laying the foundation here. As he says, a solid foundation is necessary because of the confusion between fear and awe, to which I have already referred in one of the previous sections, and which is often made. I've said that awe is inappropriate in connection with the sons of God, or the extensions of this infinite, eternal, loving presence, which we all are, because you should not experience awe in the presence of your equals. However, it was also emphasized that awe is proper in the presence of your Creator. I have been careful to clarify my role in the atonement without either over or understating it. I am also trying to do the same with yours. I have stressed that awe is not an appropriate reaction to me because of our inherent equality. Some of the latest steps in this course, however, involve a more direct approach to God Himself, to this eternal loving presence itself, direct communication, direct experience of that. It would be unwise to start on these steps without careful preparation, or all will be confused with fear, and the experience will be more traumatic than beatific. So Jesus is telling us we need careful preparation to do some of the ideas and beliefs that are the foundation of the ego, to prepare ourselves for the later parts of the course, where we can have a more direct experience with God or love itself. Healing is of God, of love in the end. The means are being carefully explained to you. Revelation may occasionally reveal the end to you, but to reach it, the means are needed. And so just pause there, keep watching your breath. I'm just going to sink in to this state of revelation. Just get a little glimpse, a little taste of a state of mind that's free of all illusions, all fantasies, dreams, desires, anything that you think you want or need in this world is ultimately a fantasy. And the miracle just shows you that. The miracle helps you just to let go of these fantasies, these distortions, and open your mind to true reality. So do that now for the next couple of minutes of silence. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still. Sink in to true reality. Allow that to reveal yourself. It's the meaning of the revelation. Sink into the light. Imagine that light is everywhere. It's all encompassing and you're just becoming aware of it. You merge with it. There's nowhere the light is not. You sink into it. It is you and you are it. There's no thought that's separate or apart from it. Just allow yourself to experience this revelation of the light for the next 2 minutes of deep silence. If you notice any thoughts and emotions coming up to disturb that deep tranquility, just be aware of them without any judgment. Just observe them very dispassionately, very detached way. Just allow them to drift by. Imagine they're like clouds just drifting by on the wind of your breath. And then you just let them go. They have no power to obscure the eternal light. You let them go and you just sink in to that light. For another minute of deep silence. And so just very gently coming back to an awareness of your body, the breath. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So breathing in, notice how the stomach rises, the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Smile, just noticing that peaceful presence, the light is still very much there. It doesn't go away just because you bring your mind back into an awareness of your sense perceptions. It's the underlying default nature of reality. Smile at that thought. Just resolve to stay connected to this for the rest of the session, the rest of the weekend. So it is said, so it is done. So exhale. Keep your mouth closed. Blow the air out of your nostrils. Air flows subtly out. Chest and the stomach suck back in. Feel the energy subsiding back down the front channel of your body into the lower stomach, spine. Just sitting comfortably, feeling the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. That's 2. Noticing what else you're feeling and touching with your hands. There's a subtle flow of air on your skin. Notice the air temperature. Breathe in again. Notice any smell as you breathe in. Tune into these subtle sensations that you don't normally notice. Taste in your mouth, perhaps. Notice that. Notice what you're hearing. The surrounding environment. Noticing all these things feels very still, calm, peaceful place in your mind. So there's no attempt to name anything or judge it or label it in any way. You just allow it to be. Notice how the sounds arise and then they subside. Notice how peaceful it is when you perceive this way. You're training your mind in non-judgmental perception, which we're going to start in earnest tomorrow when we start the workbook lessons. These are all mind training exercises taken from the workbook, just including them at the end of these longer meditations on the text, because really they support each other. Text is deep connection, understanding of the theory. Workbook is how you apply it in practice. Two sides of the same coin, designed to help you undo the ego, belief in separation, which defines your existence here in this world. And so 3, just gently open your eyes, spend a minute just looking around, letting your eyes rest randomly on the various objects in the room around you. For a few seconds, just notice something. Could be like a wall or a light switch or a kettle or a lamp. But don't name it, just allow your eyes to rest briefly. There's no thought, there's no judgment, there's no interpretation of it. And you move on to the next thing. Just do that for half a dozen objects and notice that really your perception of all these things is the same. If you're not making distinctions and labeling them and naming them and creating a story about them, which is what we like to do. Oh, well, I remember when I had an experience with that particular thing or object. And everything becomes the same, and this is what enlightened perception means. You're seeing the sameness, the underlying truth, the essence that is in everything. Yesterday's course lesson 30, was God is in everything I see, because God is in my mind. And that's what you're seeing when you see non-judgmentally. So just stay connected to this deep calm state for the rest of the session. Keep watching your breath as we move into an expression session and a discussion session. For those on the WhatsApp group, I'm going to bid you farewell. You can catch the rest of the session online. I'll send you a link to the recording. Hope you enjoyed this meditation. Do listen to it this afternoon, and join us sometime for one of the live sessions, which will start again tomorrow at 12:30 UK time, 2:30 South African time, and then in the evening I'm going to be doing it at 6:30 p.m. UK time, 8:30 p.m. SA time. So I hope to connect with you soon. Have a lovely afternoon. Namaste. Okay. Karen, you still with us? Let's unmute you. So you came in on your phone as well.
Your sound disappeared.
Did it? Okay. Did it come back?
So it was interesting because I dialed in on the phone and it allowed me to get into the meeting room without you letting me in. And then it came on my phone. And then your sound came back on my phone. And then I just disconnected from my phone and then it was back on my computer. It was bizarre.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's technology for you.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, but there'll be some explanation in the intricacies of the working of Zoom. But anyway, you figured it out. So yeah, just so we do a little little expression session.
I was thinking you can start.
Oh, really? Okay. Let me just open my door. More natural light. Close it to stop the outside noise coming in during the meditation, but it's pretty gloomy, so there's not any sun here. So, okay, so Yeah, right now I'm just feeling really peaceful, calm, not a lot going on in the mind. So when I guide these meditations, it's a meditative experience for me. Just feel that presence, and everything just dissolves in that. So there's something else really to think about. The life situation, things come, they go, they shift, they change. Um, so yesterday I worked on a proposal or a presentation for a potential client for a corporate finance business. And so they'd given me about 2 days notice. So I was like, in the end, I had to do an all-nighter to get it done. And then sort of went and meditated for about an hour and a half and got up ready for the presentation. And then I checked my phone and the guys messaged me half an hour before going, oh, sorry, they postponed it. But it was interesting because I didn't really, it's like, oh, well, I did it. I did at the time that, that was what felt right. Because I wanted to be as, prepared as possible for it. And I've done it. They will hopefully, I have another chance next Saturday. And so the presentation's done now. But I could have gotten really upset about it and gone, like seriously, like I've gone and I've done all of this and I've prepared, like done an all-nighter, and then you just cancel. But I was just fairly like surrendered about it. Okay, well, I've done it now, so I don't really have to worry. I'll probably touch it up a bit, and I'll probably be better. In a week's time, I'll present better because I will slash properly and I'll have a chance to look at it. And asked Deborah to have a look at it as well, because she's a graphic designer, so maybe she can give some suggestions or touch it up a bit. So it's all good, but it's very easy to. I think if you haven't done mind training like this, like just letting go of your own judgment, your own perception of it, then it's very easy to get sucked into. I still notice sometimes, things happen in the week. Someone asks me for some help on, my sister's boyfriend, and he's got his own business, and so I said, well, I'll give you some free hosting, and I'd sent him, like I set him up months ago, and I sent him all the details. And then he's like, please, can you give me the login details? And a part of he's like, seriously, I've sent this all to you. You should have it. But it's interesting just to observe those little, moments of like where you're going out of, you're definitely judging. You're judging this is something that shouldn't be happening and it's undesirable. But I caught myself, okay, notice, that's just drop it, just do it. He wants the login details. It'll take you a couple of minutes. Just get them, send them to him, and then it's done. And that's, no issue. He wants the login details, so send him the login details. I suppose if he asks for it over and over again, then point you go. But I went in and I checked, have I sent these to him before? Because I thought, well, then I'll just re-forward the email. And I couldn't find the email, so maybe I hadn't, possibly, But it's just interesting. It was interesting to watch how, the ego wants to, it wants to get irritated. It really does. The more I see that, it's like, no, this thing really, it wants you to get irritated by these little, things that happen in life, and to really, juice them for all they're worth, to create separation. And so, I'm just very grateful for the mind training that this course provides, because without it, you just, you do that. You get irritated, you get upset, you're not very happy, and it just keeps happening. And I think so many people are That's why people are not generally happy, because unless you've done this kind of mind training, the ego will come in and take you over. Yeah, that's me. Otherwise, I'm pretty. Right now, I'm feeling pretty well. I had a good sleep, feeling pretty peaceful, calm, and it's good to be doing this session and telling you. Okay, I'll ask you to start your video so we don't see her.
I'm still here.
Yeah, what's happening in your world?
Yeah, look, there's been a lot happening. I think a really big part of it was, you saying to me that the deadline's on Friday, the ego, and I actually wrote that down. Deadline is just an idea that puts you in a time band consciousness. So just do the task with enjoyment and stay in the flow. So it was just, I was irritable on Friday because I'd been out the whole week, like really on the road, like just wanting to fast and not fasting because I didn't want to fall asleep or get dizzy or whatever. Sticking to my meditations every evening. And yes, although they're relaxing, it's like another routine that I'm just getting into. So it's watching the watch, at the time that I'm normally kind of like getting ready for bed, getting into this meditation. And then on Friday, I was like, no, you know what? I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to drive anywhere. I'm not going to even put moisturizer on today. I'm just going to sit here and do this work and get it finished by maybe 3 o'clock. Lo and behold, the IT guys got hold of my computer, and they were on it till about 12:30, remotely, obviously. As a result, like then 1 o'clock comes and it's like, well, I need to eat something. I had a very light snack and I cancelled a very good friend of mine's call. I cancelled the afternoon meditation and I went flat out on Friday afternoon, like as tired as I was, till 6 o'clock. And I thought, you have to have eventualities and plan for flexibility, but also to put that amount of pressure on myself to have that article for the blog done by close of business on Friday and then stick to it and do it. I mean, I'm confused because it's discipline on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's putting a lot of pressure. And I was just like, really, I had this intention. I think I even wrote it down. So every day I write down in my journal, like what the day was. And then I write the evening reflection. And then I also write which breath break we did and which meditation we did. And then I also reference the Course of Miracles, section 4, chapter 1, the escape from darkness, for instance.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's like a little bit of extra homework. And then like yesterday, because I was so tired, I thought, when Bruce is out riding, I'll get up a little bit later and I'll just read my books and, really do my journaling. And I went flat out yesterday with work stuff. This morning I got up and I was also like, no, he's out running. I'll just really take it easy. And I unpacked the whole, like all the stock was sitting in the dining room. And I unpacked the whole storeroom. I washed the towels. So, I mean,
is that Karen's version of taking it easy?
Yeah. So, and then.
What was that?
I just closed the door.
Okay.
And then, I thought, well, the towels are nice and washed, they're nice and clean. And I was unpacking under the stairs to get all the boxes out of the dining room. Two things that I thought were like fairly cool tasks. And I got into so much crap about both of them. Like it's raining today and don't move my stuff. And I was just like, the ego just went wild. It's like, this is now. And I'm like, so irritated. And as you started talking about the irritation and the frustrations, I'm like, well, if that's just my ego, then my ego is clearly rampant right now, and I need to put it in a box.
Well, okay, no, finish your expression. I won't interrupt.
I think that was enough.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you raised some really interesting points there, and it leads nicely into our discussion, because what will happen if you start doing this kind of a process, like really challenging your ego, because this is very challenging for your ego. This is the beginning of the end for it. You got to know that it's going to react. It's gonna fight for its life. And so instead of putting it in a box, which is really, what's that idea? You suppress it, you repress it, which is how we deal. That's how most people deal with the ego. Oh, well, I just, I'll do something else. I won't really deal with that feeling of irritation. So part of this practice is really allowing the stuff to come up and going, okay, let it come up. I'm not going to go and deny it or do something else to try and avoid this. I'm going to let this arise. Feel it fully. Feel just how unpleasant it is, because that's part of the process of letting it go. If you really start to become aware of just how ugly, how nasty this thing is, that's when you start to go, no, this has got to go. I've got to let this go, because this really doesn't make me feel good. The thoughts I have, the emotions I have, sometimes they're shocking. It's a thought system based on fear, hatred, attack, death. It's really not pretty at all. And so when irritation comes up, it's just that thought system arising in your mind. And that's good. Don't suppress it. Just be like, okay, this is all good. This is part of the process of undoing. That's why we do spiritual practice, so that these kinds of thoughts and emotions can come up precisely to be able to look at them. And then once they become into consciousness, and out of the subconscious they come into conscious awareness, that's really the key. Then you can let them go. Then you can go, okay, now, so with the help of these practices, breath work, meditation, doing the mind training lessons we're going to start tomorrow, the text, it's all like, okay, I'm gonna drop this, I'm gonna release it, and I'm gonna go into peace. And as you keep doing that process, uncovering the darkness, bringing it to the light, letting it go, finding the peace, that is the miracle. When you do that, whenever that process happens, a miracle's happened. It's nothing spectacular. No one can see it. You can't see the tangible results straight away. But that's what this process is about. It's about digging out all that unconscious, suppressed and repressed emotion, and then becoming conscious of it, having the courage really to face it, and then go, okay, I'm going to let this, this really has to go. And I'm really determined to look at this and to let this go as it arises. So, for the next 5 weeks of the course, and if you continue after that, this is the process. Welcome to the journey. It's not suppressing it. It's just going, okay, bring it on. That I mentioned that scene in The Matrix. It's my favorite scene, because Neo's like, right, I'm being absolutely hammered by the ego. It's literally trying to kill me. It's been kicked to the other end of the platform, and he gets up and he goes, no, you know what? I'm not going to run. I'm going to face you. Come. And so this is what the course is about, saying, okay, I might have been ducking and diving, avoiding my ego, not wanting to face it for my entire life. But now I'm going to face it. And it's going to come up. The irritation is going to come. The anger is going to come. The fear is going to come. The jealousy, the rage, the aggression, the guilt, whatever. It's all going to come up there, and you got to understand, every single person who's ever undertaken this true spiritual journey, including the likes of Jesus and Buddha, they all went through it. This is what they had to face. It's part of awakening. It is the hold part. You know, if there wasn't an ego, it would be easy. Be like, oh well, I'm awakened, I'm just free, I'm happy, I'm peaceful. But the ego is what we've got to face and overcome. And it's not, you know, it's not fun and it's not pretty while you're doing it. That's for sure. But it's absolutely necessary. So I'm not surprised, because you really, you know, you're doing this course properly. You're being disciplined, you're being diligent about it. And so when you do that, you're pushing straight into the ego's thought system, and it's gonna defend. It's gonna come up, and it's gonna use the people and the circumstances in your life to seemingly trigger you. So notice that, you know. So obviously your close relationship with your husband, that's a prime example of where it's going to try and get you and make you annoyed. So just be aware of that it's not really about the other person or the situation. It's really about the ego's using that to seemingly justify its irritation and its anger and whatever, because it wants you to feel those emotions. Because remember, that's all it is. It's just a thought system, and it's a whole bunch of feelings around that thought system that you need to experience for the ego to have any kind of existence at all. If you're not experiencing those, it has no reality. So it has to get you to experience these things, and it's set up very ingeniously. It's set up the illusion of an external world to seemingly trigger you to experience those, to justify why, you know, you need to feel angry or upset or fearful or whatever. And that's, you know, that's the purpose of the world. So you're starting to come in, when you start to come into awareness of what it is and how deep-seated this is. I mean, this goes to the very core of the human experience. That's when the awakening really starts. And so that's, you know, that's what's happening, and it's all good. You've just got to go, okay, it's good. This is what I wanted. You know, bring it on. Because if I want to let go of my darkness, I have to be willing to see it, to bring it up and see it. And, you know, my life is perfect for that. Whatever's arising, you know, your husband doing something that you get irritated with, the IT guys fixing your computer until like 2 hours before your deadline, which then stresses you. You know, it's all like, it's perfect. And then just watch your stress. You know, if you're getting stressed and you've got this idea of a deadline going on in your mind, watch that and go, okay, so why am I getting upset? Because there really is no time. And if the blog post in this situation is not done by 2:30, so what? Really, so what? Is anyone going to be waiting at 2:30 to log on and go, oh, she's 1 minute late on her blog post, this is terrible? Like, probably not, you know. So it's recognize that it's self-imposed. You know, this is all your own self-imposed mind construct going, no, I have to do this by then. Why?
But it was also accountability, because I promised the social media lady and my business partner that it would be done by Friday.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. So you did it. The question is, did you do it in a flow state where you were just like, I'm not stressing and I'm just flowing with this, and it's like, okay, well, if I'm a few hours late, it really doesn't matter, I'll just do it and flow with it and quite enjoy it? Or was there a whole lot of pressure and stress and anxiety coming up in that process? That's, you know,
no, so when I was irritated, I knew that I wouldn't be able to write it.
Yeah.
So I actually did other stuff until about 4:45, and I started at about 5, and I finished by just after 6. Now, if I tried to do it in my stress state, instead of an hour and a quarter or so, it would have taken me 3, 4, 5 hours, and it wouldn't have been good.
Well, that's good. That's really good. Well done, because it's about managing your state. If you can get yourself into the right state to do whatever, then you're in flow, and whatever you do is going to be much higher quality. It's going to be much easier. You save a lot of time. When you're out of flow, and if you recognize that, then your priority is to get into flow.
Well, I think the part that definitely helped was your response to my message, because you know how much I want to do the meditations every day. And I had said that I was going to, and I'm not somebody who just doesn't do something for no reason whatsoever. And when I got your message, I like seriously looked at it on the phone, and then things on the phone get deleted and whatever. So that's why I've written it down. You know, and so thank you for that. That was why I just managed to slow myself down and do it, because I had thought if I didn't get to a better space on Friday, then I would do it on Saturday. But I also said I want to take time for me to refresh on Saturday and not sit behind the computer. So,
which you ended up doing anyway, did you? You said in your expression.
Not so much yesterday. It was more like sorting out stock and labeling and stuff.
Yeah, so you've got to be really like watch, because you're in a business, and obviously you've got to do your business, but it's how you do your business. That's really the question. Is it busyness? Is it like the mind just going, right, get busy, because the ego is a master at distracting you from the truth, from the essence of who you are. And so busyness is one of its primary defenses. And so it's just observing, okay, so how am I doing this? Am I doing it just to be busy, to keep my mind active, to like, oh, I've got to do that, I've got to do that. And then there's irritation and stress, and you're out of the flow. You can feel when you're out of the flow. You're kind of grinding through the day, and it's like everything's just a bit jarring. And so that's one way of doing it. And there's many quite, so-called high functioning people who will operate that way. Will be like, okay, I just kind of get through the day and I grind my, like, and life is a struggle and a battle. You just got to get through it, and that's very exhausting. That's going to drain your life energy, and it's not ultimately sustainable. Often people have done that for years. That eventually they just crash. They can't sustain it. Their health crashes, or maybe financially their business crashes, because it's not a sustainable way of operating. There's a lot of strain that's being put on your mind and your body. And the other way of operating is just to go, okay, so I'm doing it. That's what I'm doing. It's actually not that important. The what and getting this done by a certain, that's not that important. What's really important is my state of mind while I'm doing this. And so I'm using this as my spiritual practice to really just watch moment by moment as the stuff happens, as I'm doing things, as inevitably, difficulties, challenges arise. If you're doing anything, but particularly running your own business, as these things arise, I'm using this as my practice, right? So if irritation arises, I'm watching it, I'm using it. Great, this is perfect, great mind training. So I'm aware of it. So let me do a meditation, or let me do a breath break, or a mind training lesson, which we're going to start tomorrow, which I'll give you to do in little breath breaks. So that the two really, complement each other, the breathing and the mind training. And let me use whatever arises as my spiritual practice. And that's really the genius. I'd say, like, of all the things I've done, and I've read a lot of stuff and looked at many spiritual paths and books, and the genius of A Course in Miracles is that it trains you in your daily life, saying, look, your mind, your life is your mind training, and I'm just going to it gives you the lessons and these ideas to apply in your daily life. You're saying you don't have to change anything in your external. You don't have to go away from your business. You don't have to let go of your life in the matrix, go and stay in an ashram or monastery. That's what a lot of people think they have to do. No. You just carry on doing what you're doing, but you just do it differently. You approach it, from this higher perspective of just bringing the spirit into everything you do. Changing your perspective, changing your perception of everything. And he's saying that's the only way you're really going to find your way out of the matrix, because we're in the domain of perception. And so you've got to start where you are. You've got to correct your perception. As he says here in this, let me share my screen again. As he says at the end of the text, revelation may occasionally reveal the end to you, but to reach it, the means are needed. So occasionally, and if you go into meditation, you have a really like blissed out experience, and that's a little taste of what he calls revelation. The mind is just in the oneness. It's beautiful. And so occasionally that may happen, but the means are needed, and that means the means are is correcting your perception. which is what the miracle is. So it's actually a really, really simple teaching, saying, look, you've just got to apply this to everything that you're experiencing in your life and change your perception of it. And that's the way out of your dream. You can't just go straight to revelation. You have to correct your perception and prepare your mind for these little moments of revelation. And don't expect, he's saying, look, don't expect revelation very often. It's David Hoffmeister, who's, as enlightened as it gets, I think, on this planet. He's had 3 revelation experiences his entire life. Okay, fantastic. But that's 3 out of a life of 60 years or 61 years or however old it is. It's few and far between. So that's why it's called A Course in Miracles, because he's saying, the miracles are the way you're going to experience your life on an ongoing basis while you're operating in the domain of perception, which is, let's say you sleep for 8 hours a day. And maybe you do some meditation, maybe an hour or 2 of meditation. So say 14 hours of your day, for most people longer, is going to be in the domain of perception. You're apparently awake in the stream, and you're perceiving things, and you're interacting with the world. And he's saying, well, do it miraculously rather than with the ego as your guide. Do it with the spirit as your guide in a miraculous way, which is simply using it all to come to look at, okay, I'm looking at my mind. I'm looking at my thoughts. I'm looking at my emotions. And if I see that they're out of alignment, I'm not very happy. If I start noticing that, that's very good. That's the whole process. And then I can apply some of these lessons and the text and whatever to let it go. Whatever works to help you let it go, to drop the thought, drop the emotion, drop the energy, release yourself, find a place where you're just peaceful and calm. And in that state of peace and calm, you can then operate much more effectively. Whatever you're doing, you're writing your blog, you're delivering products, you're doing a sales presentation, all the stuff that you do in your daily life. Much, much more effective, much more enjoyable if you're in that state. So that's why I talk about the flow state, but it's one and the same thing. Being in flow and this miraculous state of mind are really the same thing. They're just different terms to point to the same state of mind, which is where you want to be. That's where you're pretty happy, you're peaceful, you're high functioning. If you're in flow all the time, you'll be very high functioning. You can do things quite quickly and easily that a lot of people struggle with or just can't do. You can have creative ideas in response to your difficulties instead of getting stuck in the difficulties. So this is the problem. We get stuck in our difficulties, and then there's no creative response to that. Then you just say, oh, this is difficult, and the ego wants you to get stuck in the difficulty and in the problem rather than finding a creative solution, because it wants you to get stuck in frustration and anger and fear and resentment and whatever. It loves those emotions. So it loves problems because those problems seems to justify those emotions. So this is absolutely critical to get this. Like if you can learn this way of thinking and this way of being, what it will do for your entire life, every part of your life, including your business, is extraordinary. I call it extraordinary ordinary. You can really go to an entirely different level of functioning. So I would say that A Course in Miracles is the best business training you could have. It really is, if you really do it. You wouldn't hear people saying it's a business book, but it is. It's a life book. Business is just a subset of life. So if you know how to do this, if you know how to manage your thoughts and emotions, and get into flow very quickly, that is an enormously valuable skill in any aspect of your life, but particularly where you're in a business and your performance, it's you and your partner. Basically, your performance will determine, and your energy determines the outcome of that business, doesn't it? What you put into it is what you're going to get out. It's a very direct correlation. So putting the time into this, although you're not generating income from meditating directly, but it's the indirect effects of spending time on meditation, spending time journaling, spending time doing all these spiritual practices, the indirect effects will be huge. They're cumulative on your business. And then, it's the best investment you can make, because how does that translate then into, more sales, more customers, inspired ideas, that, new products. It's very difficult to quantify, but there's no doubt that there's a correlation. So I hope that, does that make sense?
It does.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh. So yeah, I mean, just keep doing the process. Is there anything you want to ask while we're discussing the course? I mean, you've been doing it for 8 days. Anything arisen you're not sure about? Any of the practices, the meditations in the morning? You said you're having some challenges with the fasting, which is normal. The idea of the fasting is to challenge you. That's why I put it into the program, because it's going to push some buttons, and so just then be aware of your reactions. And if you need to eat because you're feeling, well, then do what you need to do, but notice your emotions and your actions around all of it. That's the point. It's just another, this 6 weeks I've designed to push as many buttons as possible. Really, that's the idea. Because when those buttons get pushed and the challenges arise, that's when the transformation takes place. That's when the miracle can arise. If the ego remains suppressed and repressed, and you're not bringing those thoughts and emotions to the surface, then there's no undoing that can happen. They just stay buried in your subconscious. So yeah, anything, if you want to talk about the fasting, we can do that.
I think the fasting is maybe just a little bit, maybe a little bit deeper than just not eating. So
it is
going back. Sorry.
Yeah, it is. It's a spiritual practice. It's because it's going to bring up thoughts and emotions that may have been covered over and repressed, and so as those arise, that's going to another level of your mind, really.
So I mean, it's just, without sharing too much detail, probably two big things come up. Like when I really get hungry, about 2 years ago, I was put on an elimination diet. I was not allowed to eat. It was supposed to be 5 weeks that I went onto this diet. I couldn't eat dairy, sugar, gluten, or eggs.
Okay.
None of it. So it was like no fruit, no baked goods, no. And I was just constantly hungry. And this elimination diet didn't last 5 weeks. It lasted nearly 2 years, because every time I tried to reintroduce food, I got violently ill. Violently ill, like with allergic and anaphylactic shock type thing.
Right.
So that was the one thing. And then when I was younger, being a fat, chubby child, and my dad always telling me that I was a fat, chubby child, I decided to starve myself so that I wasn't a fat, chubby child. So you know what that leads to. But that feeling of hunger brings up those two major events, which were about sort of 2 years. So when I did try to start the fasting, kind of had the same like physical symptoms as when you're really hungry. But then I was, like I said to you earlier in the week, I was a little concerned because I got quite dizzy, and I thought it was like blood sugar. So I didn't want to pass out when I was on the road. But only with like some reflection now, I've realized that it's bringing up those two things. So it's not so much about like I'm not going to eat or I'm going to be hungry or I'm going to starve. It's more just bringing up. And so that's what it's designed to do.
Yes, exactly. And if you've got past experiences around food and fasting, it's going to bring all that up so that you can deal with it. So you can look at it and go, okay, maybe I need to heal that and release that. Forgiveness just means letting it go and going, I'm not, there's no emotional charge there anymore. I'm not angry about it. I'm not upset by it. It's just, okay, the experience was it's like a dreamlike experience. And I've moved on from it.
This is about taking away the emotional charge. You will still have, as long as you're in a human form, you still have the memories. You'll still be able to go, yeah, when I was a child, I can remember when that happened. But now you've cleaned it. The miracle is like you've taken all that negative emotional charge out of it. And it's just like a clean experience. Like, okay, yeah, well, it's almost like you were, a third person watching the movie of your life and going, well, okay, so in the movie, the character experienced that, but I've got no personal investment in that, and there's no emotional charge around that. I'm just at peace. And it was all part of a process that led me to this place where I can now be at peace. So it's all perfect in its imperfection. And you'll probably find are you doing the guided meditations in the morning, the letting go meditation? So you'll find if you use these situations in that meditation, you bring them up. It's designed to really do sort of much deeper work. It's not, short-term little irritation about something that's arising in the moment. Great, you do a breath break. There's some of the other shorter letting go processes that I gave you a discussion session on. The Ho'oponopono is great. Just like, okay, clear it, let it go. But for deep-seated stuff, if it goes back to childhood and there's some deep issues there, then often that's what's that? Let me stop talking. Just say something, then it'll switch the Ho'oponopono. Okay, you got it. Yeah. So it's a great, that's a great, like, it's just a little process to help you to let go on the fly. But the reason I developed the 10-step process and the guided meditation is so that you can get this like a deeper experience when you're dealing with these deep-seated issues. You can really go into deep meditation, go into your heart center. You can use that 10-step process to really let it go. And you might need to do it many times. What's that?
Lemon verbena.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so yummy. There's bush outside, and I was buying some. But this freshens the air. I'll give you some when I see you.
Yeah, thanks. So if you do that in the morning, that's kind of like, okay, like whatever's come up, you especially deep-seated stuff. That's the ideal opportunity to process it and release it. And then in the day, you're doing these top-ups, these little mind training exercises. We're going to start doing tomorrow. Well, I've started you off with the breath breaks, but with the mind training, we just introduce an idea, which is and a mind training exercise that comes from the course to help you. So using the breath and the mind training to just shift stuff as it comes. So if you notice, okay, I'm irritated now, I'm anxious or whatever the emotion is, you use the mind training just to release it, to let it go. And the beauty of this is that it's ability you can train. You can train yourself to let go. Anyone can. It's like any skill. You can get a lot better at it. Life is going to continue testing you and challenging you. So it's really just how you deal with it. And can you let go of those? Can you let go of those tests and challenges quickly and not get upset, or do you allow them to really come in and cause a lot of negativity and a lot of upset? But it sounds like you're well into the process. So the first week's an introductory week. That's just like getting you into the rhythm of it, and like, okay, and then week 2 it goes up a notch because we're doing the mind training exercises as well. So we introduce the text, introduce the workbook, and now you got the text as well. Working with both of those. So the afternoon sessions from tomorrow, if you join, we'll do a meditation on the lesson for the day, and then the evening will be the text. So which is quite a nice rhythm, because the day is more about the mind training practical exercises, dealing with whatever's arising in the day, and then the text is more kind of a deeper contemplation. It's a nice thing to do in the evening before bed.
And the mind training, is that in the form of the lesson in the afternoon, or is it a morning meditation that you'll send through?
So I'm going to send you the WhatsApp group as well as emails. You will get some mind training little breath breaks to do for the mind training. So I'll say, like, in the morning, once you've done your initial meditation, I'll give you the shorter versions of the letting go meditation as well. So, like, if you don't have the time, you can do a 40-minute version, because I'm asking you to do a little bit more. So you're going to do the normally about 10 to 15 minutes. The sort of intro to the mind training lesson, where I read it to you, I guide you through the process. So that's quite a nice, like, setting you up for the day. And then I give you a shorter one, which is generally anything from 3 to 7 minutes. And the idea is you do the regular mind training, because he's saying, well, initially it's 2 or 3 times a day, and then it gets up to about 5 times a day. You do those little breath breaks by listening to the recording, and that will guide you through the mind training exercise that he gives you to do. So you can read the text by all means if you want to, but it's I'm guiding you through it in the audio recording. And then the idea is you just start getting to the habit of taking these little breaks. So, you've been working for an hour or two, go, okay, I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to listen to the recording, do some breathing, 5 minutes, just to clear out anything that's come up in the last 2 hours. You work with it, you clear it, you let it go. And then you can continue with the work. And then at 2:30, stop for a longer, say 20-minute, half an hour meditation, continue on in the evening. So you're just learning to punctuate your day with these little breath breaks and meditations to keep you in the flow. And you integrate the mind training into what you're doing. So a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time for this. But really, if you say that, you're never going to have time for it. You have to integrate it into your life. There's no way you can take most people don't have the luxury of taking a year off to do A Course in Miracles. And that's not even what he's suggesting you do either. He's saying, look, integrate it into your life, carry on with your daily life, and use your experiences in your daily life as the mind training. And that's actually the best way of doing it. Removing yourself from the challenges is not actually going to be helping you to undo the ego. You want those challenges to come up, and then just deal with them within the context of the lesson for the day. That's what it's designed to do. So I think you'll enjoy it. I think it will really, the mind training, it's where the rubber meets the road. It's where you start to actually apply this and practice it in your daily life. And you've got quite a disciplined approach in mind. So I think it'll work for you. You just like integrate it into your daily schedule. I think you'll find it takes your experience of A Course in Miracles to another level.
I think I said to you at one point, once I say I'm in. Once I know something's right for me, I know it's right for me.
Yeah, which is great. I wish I had more people doing the course like you, because, well, you've shown up. There's other people who I'm offering it, but if you don't turn up, then how can you? If you don't do the practices, you don't get anything out of it. I mean, you have to actively participate in this. It doesn't just happen. And a level of discipline is necessary. Mind training requires, well, I've got to discipline my mind. That's what training is. So if you've got a little bit of discipline, and then it's almost a paradox, because you're flowing, saying, oh, well, just let go and find your flow. If you don't see that right, you could go, oh, well, I can just do whatever I want. Let go, find your flow. But that's not what it's about. It's about actually being pretty disciplined about your thoughts and your emotions, and then the practices that you do. He's asking you to do these several times a day, and so it requires some discipline, because he knows, look, your mind is totally undisciplined. Most people's minds are not trained; they're totally undisciplined, and the only way you're going to learn to stay in flow and get that experience is if you start doing some mind training. You start disciplining your mind a bit. So if you've got some of that self-discipline already, which you clearly do, that's great, because you just integrate, you can already do this. It's just like use these practices as, you know, just another part of your daily routine, where you're disciplining yourself to do the various things that you do. And if you do it systematically, you'll find that you get a lot out of this, out of the next 5 weeks and the rest of the year if you continue. Because the idea is, you know, it's not 6 weeks is the intro, and then if you want to continue with the entire Course in Miracles, we work through the entire thing in the same way, just integrating into your life, doing the lesson every day, the breath breaks. And so if you like the rhythm of it, then, you know, you can do an entire year, which hopefully you will. So
I'm hoping to sign up some more people so that I can get that discount, but it's not going so well so far. I've asked one person specifically, and I do mind.
Yeah, I mean, I like, you know, I've designed the course. I know it's not for everyone, sadly.
Yeah.
One would like, you know, people to go, wow, this is amazing. This is going to help me find flow and happiness, and this is what I really want. I'm totally in it. But the majority of people don't, because the ego has got a hold. We're living in the ego's domain, and this stuff isn't easy. It's challenging. It's threatening to the ego, and so most people will go, no, you know, that's not for me for whatever reason. I'm too busy, or I've got another practice, or you know, there's many reasons why people won't really do it. But actually, they're scared. They're honest. They're scared of waking up. They're scared of really going, okay, I've got to face my stuff. I've got to face my darkness, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be pretty, but it doesn't matter what path I take and what spiritual practices I do. I have to face my darkness. There's no other way. So this process is just I believe it's a process that's the most effective. Studying A Course in Miracles in this kind of facilitated way, where you've got, you know, some help, you've got some guidance, there's live meditations, there's the breath breaks, it's designed to just speed up that process to help you do this more quickly and more easily. It's the fast track. You can take a long time doing this, you can take lifetimes doing this, or, you know, the course is designed to do it in one lifetime. If you're really diligent about it, in 10 years, you can completely transform your thinking in your life. It won't happen in a year, but if you keep at it it took me probably about 10 years really before I really started understanding, like deeply understanding what the course is about. 10 years. And I'm, you know, a fairly intelligent guy. Like, I can read. I'm reading the book every day. I'm reading the lessons every day. Reading the text. I'm teaching it. You know, I'm being pretty diligent about this whole thing. And yet it still takes you 10 years to really go, oh my God, I understand what he's saying. Like, deeply, because it's absolutely fundamental to your perception of everything here, your existence. That's where he's going to, saying you think you exist as a separate human being, living the separate life with this personality, this identity, and actually you're not. That's not true. That's just not the truth of who you are. It's pretty fundamental and pretty radical. So, you know, not everyone's ready for that yet, but if you are, then, you know, this path is for you, no doubt. Okay, any other questions about it? Anything you want to talk about?
I feel like I'm ready, and I've done a lot of spiritual work in the last sort of, I suppose, my whole life, but more intense in the last 15 years. But nothing like this. This is quite interesting. I do have a question.
Yeah.
Printed off on a double-sided paper.
Yeah. Okay, great.
But I didn't waste it. Like, there's quite a lot of questions and written work that go into this.
Yeah.
So I've got it with my journal. There's some beautiful quotes in there. The first one was quite funny, because what I showed you earlier.
Yeah, the Ho'oponopono.
Yeah, and I just rested that there. But what's in this frame is, can you see that?
Just say something because it
It's
switches
the
when I'm talking.
Irritation by
Okay.
Mountain Dreamer.
Okay.
And that's in a gold frame, which lives next to me, and the Pono still needs to go in a frame. But those were the two things that were quite. I didn't put the Orion Mountain Dreamer in the frame for this course. It's been part of me did Reiki 15 years ago. So that was quite cool. And I opened that up. And then I've done the commitments. I've done my love letter in a frame, and then gets the map of consciousness. So I think my question is here, how does this fit into the program? What slots in where? Because you've got references to pathways 4 and 6 and 7 and 9 and 11 and 12 and so forth, but maybe I missed it on where it slots into the daily work and the Course in Miracles.
Okay. You're talking about the map of consciousness, David Hawkins, or you're talking about the 12 pathways, or both?
Well, the manual in general, and then the 12 pathways in the map, in the manual. Yeah.
So the 12 pathways it's another, the chap who came up with it, Ken Kais. As far as I know, he wasn't a course student. In fact, I think he died in the 70s. So he wouldn't have studied the course because it only came out in the mid 70s. But it's an alternative perspective. If you read those, you will see that the philosophy, the underlying teaching, is very much the same. And so I've included them as, first of all, another point of view, another reference on the same stuff. And if you find them helpful and you want to use them, then use them. It's up to you. If you really go, wow, these things really work for me, and these reminders are really great, because there's 12 reminders that are very much in sync with what the course is teaching. It's just, it's another way of putting it, another tool that you can use. So I included it because I thought it's valuable, for people to have another perspective. It's another teaching, not just the course, but it very much confirms it. And another tool in the toolbox. If you find it helpful and you want to use those, you want to read those like one a day. I haven't included it and gone, you have to read one a day, because there's just too much. I can't include that and the mind training from the Course in Miracles, and it's overload. So I've included it as like, it's there, it's in the background, it's reference material, and if you find it helpful and you want to use it, then it's there. You can use it. If not, and you just read it and you go, that's interesting, and it's it kind of confirms what the course is teaching, then that's also fine. And the map of consciousness is really just another tool for self-awareness. So I think you said you studied kinesiology, or you've had experience with kinesiology.
I had experience and I wanted to study it.
Yeah. So it's just another way of starting to notice, starting to become aware of what's happening mentally and emotionally. And those levels of consciousness, I've included them because if you know that scale, and then you become aware of, say, irritation, you can then go, okay, well, I'm at level 150 here, which is anger. And so it's another way of shifting you out of that negativity, because once you become aware of it, you can go, okay, yeah, I'm aware where I am. I'm below the level of 200, which is not positive. This is negative consciousness. So I need to shift it. And maybe some of those ideas of the other levels, like courage is at a level of 200. That's the breakthrough level. That's really just the courage to face my darkness, isn't it? That's what it is. So instead of maybe doing what I normally do, a lot of people go, well, I'm irritated, so I'll just try and do something else. I'll cover it over. I'll drink something. I'll smoke something. I'll go shopping. I'll surf the internet. I'll, whatever, to just kind of suppress the feeling, to not deal with it. You go, no, courage is facing it. Okay, so let me deal with this. That means to deal with it, maybe I need to sit down, do a meditation on it. Maybe I need to do some mind training using the course lesson, just reflect on it, face it, and, and let it go. Which then takes you, into neutrality, which is the next level, and up into, I think the next level is optimism, which is really the level. If you're not an optimist, then forget running your own business. It's not going to happen, is it? Because you're going to continuously get tested and challenged. And if you can't come back to that level of positivity of like, no, actually, I believe in this. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe it's going to work despite these challenges. Then just give it up. It's not going to happen. Go and get a job or do whatever. Because so that level of optimism is almost a base requirement to be an entrepreneur and run your own business. So it's just a tool to help you to become aware of those levels. Okay, if you find yourself getting irritated a lot, well, that is going, that you're in the negative zone, and you're 150 or 200 points off where you need to be. And if it helps you to shift out of that negativity and go, let go of that and go back into positivity, then use it. If you don't find it helpful, then don't use it. But the idea is it's all, what I'm trying to give is, it's not just A Course in Miracles. There's these other things that come in that I've included as resources and information to just maybe help you get another perspective, a deeper perspective, another viewpoint that all ultimately supports it. It all supports the same thing that you're trying to do, which is to let go of your negativity. And obviously I've done discussion sessions on them. So, you can listen if you want a deeper dive into, okay, what's this teaching of what's this scale of consciousness about, then, listen to the discussion session. Have you managed to listen to some or all of those?
Not the discussion sessions. Not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, you've got all that reference material. So what I do is save the emails in a folder, and then you've got this, because you may well want to revisit this and go, okay, I'll revisit some of these emails, these discussions. Each discussion is anything from an hour to 2 hours, normally about 90 minutes. And there's some quite deep stuff in there. We go into deep discussion on the 12 pathways, on the scale of consciousness. What's this about in a discussion session format, just Q&A, which I think is more helpful than me just talking to a camera and giving you a presentation on it. It's a bit more interesting. So that material's there for you. At any point you can go back and you can listen to it. The links will still work. In a year's time, if you're still in the program, we do it again. You revisit it again, because what you missed the first time around, maybe suddenly that becomes relevant. You have more time, listen to those. What I would do is, if you put those discussion sessions, you download the audio and you put it onto your phone. If you're driving around, that is probably the best way of listening, because then you can just stick it on your phone, stream it to your car's radio, if you can do that, because I know, these things are all possible, and you can listen while you're driving. So now that's however long you're driving, say an hour's driving time. Well, there you got your discussion session.
That's a good idea. Because that day I was driving at 2:30 and I thought it wouldn't be too wise to do a meditation while I was driving.
No. Don't do the meditation part of it. But you can listen to the discussions, which is how Robin, have you met Robin? No, I don't think you've met Robin.
No, I was going to drop off the.
Yes. Yeah. But that's how she did it, because she's also busy working mum. So she would be like, okay, I download the sessions and then I listen to them while I'm in my driving. I'm commuting to work and I'm listening. So then you're making use of that time that's otherwise, well, what are you doing with drive time? You can listen to the radio, you can listen to music, or you can listen to this material, and it won't distract you from your driving at all. You can quite easily listen and drive. Just don't do the meditation part of it. Skip over, because the meditation is normally either at the beginning or the end, so you can just skip that part, and the discussion is normally maybe an hour or so. So yeah, I mean that's how you can use your drive time to just do a bit more in the course. And then that'll flesh out some of these parts of the manual. The discussion sessions are designed to give you a bit of a deeper, and then obviously Q&A. There's a live discussion every day if you want, so we can chat about it after the meditation. So any more questions on anything?
Just checking quickly. So I can just work through this information pack at my own time. There's no.
Yeah. Well, what I'm recommending you do is the exercises. So if you see in the daily schedule I send you, I say like do exercise 1 today, and then I repeat it the next day because you might not have done it. And so try and keep on that, because we'll get to a point where ideally everyone's at the same point, and then you do a group exercise. Whether that will happen in this course or not, I don't know, because if no one else shows up, then there's no group. But
there is, because you're doing the course as well. So
yeah, there's 2 of us, a group of 2. So then we'll just do it between the 2 of us. But ideally, the group is kind of they're all synced, and it's designed to prepare you to. Once we get to the end of week 3, we start with the real deeper stuff, where we go into the naming your game process, and then the flipping your flop, and there's exercises for all of those. And the group sessions are designed to help you to do that. So try and do the exercises as I recommend. So did you try exercise 1? I think I've said do exercise 1 and exercise 2 so far.
Which ones were they?
If you go to page 34.
Okay. No, I think I got stuck on the 10-step letting go process.
Right, okay. So page 34, that's where the exercises start. Those are practical, a bit like the course in the workbook. The first part's the theory, the second part's, there's some practical exercises to do. So work through those as I send you the emails, and I say do this. Exercise 1 is a powerful one to do some self-reflection, drawing a picture of your life. That's again designed to bring some stuff up, and then try exercise 2. I'll be interested to see what happens with that. See how you. The main thing with exercise 2 is watch yourself, watch your thoughts and your emotions while you're doing it. So particularly if you're quite a sort of you quite high functioning and you like to get stuff right, watch what happens if you can't get the answer straight away, and just observe the emotions, and that's the real point of the exercise. And if you can let go of those, you'll break through into another level and you get the answer. If you get stuck in the frustration and the irritation then you won't, because that blocks you from finding the answer. So it's a little microcosm, it's a little miniature of what life is. That's what we do in life. We have problems to solve, and then you get stuck in the box. You get stuck in a repetitive way of thinking, and you can't get out of it. And then you get frustrated and angry, and the irritation, the anger, and whatever builds. And until you can let go and just really open your mind and clear out that, you can't get a creative solution. So it's mind training. And then the other exercises.
I think I've done it.
Okay. Wow. Did you just do that?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm very impressed. So most people, let's just let me see. I think it's correct.
Yeah, 4 straight lines.
Yeah, through all 9 dots without lifting a pen. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You got it straight away.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So most people really struggle with that. can say, well, some people just don't get it by the end of the course.
Oh.
Because it's and you got it in a minute, so that's really well done. That's thinking out the box, isn't it?
Mm.
It's like not what most people do. Hey?
That was the clue for me.
Yeah, well, that's why I give you the clue. It's like,
I read the title.
Yes, think out the box. But you'd be amazed. Most people still think in the box. They're trying to solve it by drawing a box. And they can't do it. You can't solve it within the box. That's the whole point. You have to like let go of that box type, the box idea. So it's a good exercise to just show you. Look how my mind is limiting me. In this case, you just went, okay, there's the clue, because life gives you these little clues, and let me just go with the clue, and if there's no blockage or limitation, you'll get the answer because it becomes obvious. But if you're rigid in your thinking, it's not obvious at all. It's, you just people will really struggle with that. Most people don't get that straight away. It takes them, either they don't get it at all, or it takes them a long time to get it. So well done. And then try the others. So there's little perceptual exercises with the seeing the different boxes. What's that? Exercise 3. So that's quite interesting. Can you see both versions?
Yep.
Yeah. And it switches. The one switches to the other. You can't see both at the same time. Can you?
You mean on the same exercise 3, right?
Yeah. So if you look at the left-hand box, which says so can you see the alternate perspective? You see the box the one way kind of going into the page, and then the box going up. And you see that?
Is that this one with 16 boxes?
Oh, no, sorry, I'm on the wrong.
Exercise 4. Are you referring to exercise 3, which is the 16 boxes, or exercise 4, which is this one?
Yeah, sorry, it's exercise 4. You're right.
Okay, I was getting completely confused because I thought there's something in exercise 3. I'm not seeing it all.
Yeah.
Okay. So
exercise 3 is the 16 boxes. So that's, you can see more than 16 boxes, I assume, because there's actually there's about 87. I counted them once. There's lots of boxes.
A box, and the outside is a box, and the half is a box, and the 4 quadrants are a box.
Each rectangle in there is a box.
Yes.
But a lot of people go, well, that's 16 boxes. That's all I can see.
Boxes. No.
Yeah. So again, it's just like seeing something different, seeing deeper. And then that perspective one is interesting. If you look at that, can you see the two perspectives? But you'll notice you can't see both at the same time.
No. Interesting.
So you can see it going into the page, or you can see it coming up. And then you can switch, like literally in a second, you can go, oh, switch, see that, and then but you cannot see both perspectives simultaneously.
No.
Which is an illustration of this idea that the course is trying to teach. There's two thought systems, there's two different perspectives or perceptions of everything, and you cannot see both simultaneously. You can see one or the other, and you can vacillate between the two, but you can't see them at the same time because they contradict each other, they're alternate. So that's all that exercise is designed to teach you. And then, there's the one on the 16 boxes, which you can play with that if you want. But the main idea is that there's many. It's not how many there are. It's just seeing that there's many configurations in there. Yeah, so you've done. Looks like you've done the first 4 exercises. Oh well, just do exercise 1 because that's a good one. It's a very self-reflective exercise. But you just like okay.
No, I won't go and look at them. I won't go and look at them all now. I'll just because otherwise I'll be an overachiever and I'll sit here and I'll do them all. That's counterproductive.
No, you're going to do them over the next 5 weeks. So you've got a bit of time, and the idea is to just follow the process so that it all happens when it's supposed to happen. try to design it so that it's like a progression. So week 1 is just getting you into it, introduction into different way of thinking, a different way of trying to structure your day, and then week 2 we start introducing the workbook lessons. What are we, 2 hours into it? You want to continue for a little bit, because I wanted to talk a bit about breathing and a little bit about the hero's journey,
Okay.
which are quite interesting subjects. So the breathing, breath work, obviously, you've been doing quite a bit of it. The meditation's all breath-based. The breath breaks that I send you, all breath-based. And so the reason I've incorporated breath work as kind of a foundational practice is because it's a great way of training your mind. Okay, so breath, you might want to write this down. Breath control is mind control. The more you start to learn to control your breathing, the more you start to control your mind, which is why it's a foundational spiritual practice. It's pranayama, breath control, breath discipline is one of the 8 limbs of yoga, because they figured out thousands of years ago that the best way of starting to learn to control your mind and discipline your thoughts was to start to control your breath. A direct approach to mind control, going, okay, well, I'm aware of my negativity, my unhappy thoughts, whatever, and then going, just don't think them. They realize doesn't work that well, because the more you become aware of it, the more you go, don't think that. So I'll give you a little exercise. Don't think of a pink elephant now. What did you just think of? A pink elephant. Have you got a pink elephant? You've muted yourself. Okay. You've got a pink elephant. That's cool. You've just got muted. Yeah, there we go.
I muted myself because there's a bit of noise downstairs.
Okay.
I actually thought of my cat in the background here.
Oh, really?
Then you said pink elephant, and I actually remembered a friend of mine gave me this.
Okay.
How sad. Sorry.
But that's just an example of how the mind works. You say don't think of something, you think of it.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, the don't do this sort of mindset or way of trying to train your mind doesn't really work. Don't crash my car. Well, if you keep thinking don't crash my car, you're likely to crash your car, because you in the don't, you're actually making the crash a reality. That's just kind of how the mind works. So they figured out that you need to sort of trick it, and the way to trick it is to give it something else to focus on, a bit like a dog. If a dog's really barking and being unruly, the best way to calm the dog down is don't go, don't do that, it's just going to get more upset. You give it a bone, you give it something else to do. You throw a ball, you give it a bone, and the dog's then got something else to do. So it's redirecting the mind's attention somewhere else, and that's what breathing does. And it's redirecting it to something that's always there. The beauty of breath is it's available 24/7. It's free. You can breathe anytime, and you just have to bring some awareness to this thing that you do all the time. It's the most fundamental thing we do in our lives is breathe, and yet most people are not even aware of it. So just by bringing awareness into this very simple thing you do, it's a way of training the mind to come into the present moment, to naturally then start letting go of some of the thought patterns, emotions that go with them. And naturally, when you're breathing nice deep diaphragmatic breaths, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, or rather the sympathetic one. So sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight response that is designed to get your system really G'd up and geared up for an emergency. So something's life-threatening is happening, and you need a massive amount of energy in a short period of time to either fight that threat or to escape it. And that's what the fight or flight response is designed to do, which is quite helpful if you're genuine in a life-threatening situation, and you need a sudden shot of energy. But 99.99% of the time in today's world, that's not the case. You're not in a life-threatening situation. It's just a deadline that you've given yourself, for instance, deadline. But now those emotions, that response starts getting triggered. And so the cortisol and adrenaline and so on come in, and you find yourself in quite a stressed out state. And that's not a very creative state to be in. Right? In fight or flight, it's very simple. It's very primal. It's like you're going to fight or you're going to flee. It's like we want to cut out all logical, rational thought. We want to suppress the systems that don't really serve this immediate survival need. So things like your digestive system, you will know about, given that your product's about the gut. You shut down your digestive system, your immune system, your reproductive system. All these non-essential systems get repressed through that mechanism. And there's a cat. Oh, nice. And that is, in an emergency, fine. But if that's happening on an ongoing basis, that's going to have some very negative effects on your health. Whereas just breathing, conscious breathing, reverses all of that. It's the opposite. So it counters the stress response. The parasympathetic nervous system is the relaxation response. It's designed to relax you, to calm you down, to take your mind into a nice alpha state where you can think, you're aware, but it's that nice kind of calm, relaxed space, which is a good space to work in. If you're doing any kind of work and you're in that alpha state, you're going to be in flow. You're going to have a feeling of being in flow. Creative ideas come more easily. You can work more quickly and easily because you're concentrating in the moment. You're zoned in. So you do the breath breaks and the meditation to reset your system into the parasympathetic nervous system, to let go of the cortisol and adrenaline, the fight or flight response, and that is actually breath does biochemically. It starts to dissipate those stress chemicals in your body. So it's designed to help you to relax. So why not use such a powerful tool? It's there to help you to relax, to help you get into that nice flow state, and to stay there. In biological terms, just doing proper breathing, breathing diaphragmatically, as I've shown you, will do amazing things for your biochemistry, for your whole body, and the mind and body then start working in sync. So the diaphragm is at the very core of your body. Everything sort of radiates out from there. So if you're not breathing properly, that's going to cause physical problems in other areas of your body. Tightness and muscle tension in your neck, your shoulders, down into your sort of groin area, your legs. It's all connected. And when you breathe diaphragmatically, you start giving your organs, your entire system gets a massage. It starts to get everything working nicely, which is why a lot of sort of more progressive physios and chiropractors and so on, biokineticists, teach their clients to breathe properly, because that starts to correct some of the biomechanical problems that are often a result of shallow breathing, chest breathing for years and years. If you're not engaging your diaphragm, is going to affect your physiology. So it's a fantastic health practice. Probably the number one thing I'd say people should do for their health and well-being is start breathing properly. Just conscious, deep diaphragmatic breaths, and then if you can do some conscious breath work where you're actually taking time out and just focusing on your breathing, like we're doing. Then as part of a meditation with some mind training incorporated, then you're just taking it to another level. So that's why the breath is so powerful. It's such a powerful mind training tool, and physically, it's a great way to boost your health and well-being. You also, I'll talk a bit about intermittent hypoxia, because that's quite interesting. Not a lot of people don't know about. So when you're breathing and you're holding the breath. What you do is you lower your blood oxygen levels the longer you hold your breath, especially on the exhale. So when you exhale, and I'm saying hold the breath, try and hold it for as long as possible, because you lower your blood oxygen levels. And when you go into a lowered blood oxygen level, you're basically taking your system into a state of antioxidative being. So I didn't express that very well, but you know about antioxidants. You're in the nutrition industry. Antioxidants. If we over oxygenate our body, oxygen, we need it, but too much oxygen will create cell damage, because just like rust, if something's overexposed to oxygen, if you expose food to oxygen, it gets oxidized and it decays. It's the same with our body. So we need oxygen, but not too much oxygen. So the idea of intermittent hypoxia is it takes you into a lowered oxygen level, lowered oxygen state. And in that state, your body can do a lot of repair work. So you're actually giving your body a chance to fight things like free radicals and undo a lot of the oxidative damage. If you're over breathing, well, at the extreme, that's called hyperventilation. It takes you doing that. Just do that. Do 10 deep breaths, like, and notice how you feel just after 10 breaths of doing that. And that'll give you an idea of what happens when you overbreathe, right? You go into a hyperventilated state, too much oxygen, you go into the fight or flight response. Now take 10 deep breaths and just breathing in nice deep slow breaths in and out through your nose, where the diaphragm's expanding, so the belly expands, and then it sucks back in as you exhale. Let's do a few more breaths like that. Just notice then the difference. How do you feel when you're doing that?
Much more calm.
Yes. And that's just in a few seconds. That's in like 30 seconds. So imagine that pattern of breathing being repeated over and over and over again. And a lot of people are breathing shallowly. They breathe through their mouth quite a bit. They exercise and they breathe through their mouth. That's not a great thing to do either, because it puts you into the fight or flight mode. And in fight or flight, you're not going to be as efficient, as productive, as calm. Your whole experience is very different. So when you're exercising, try and breathe through your nose as much as you can. And you can actually train yourself to do it at high intensity as well. That's probably the subject for another discussion. Which I managed to do when I was a squash player. So I could breathe through my nose when I was playing squash, when I was doing high intensity training, and it changed my whole experience of the game. It was quite profound. So I didn't get into that anaerobic state where you're like freaking out because you don't have enough oxygen and you can't breathe properly and your whole system doesn't work very well when you in an anaerobic state, and it triggers the fight or flight response mode. Whereas if you're breathing through your nose, nice deep slow breaths, you're still in the zone. Even if you're tired, it wasn't like I never got tired, but I never went into that fight or flight response mode where I was just like, God, I'm dying here, I want to just stop playing, which did used to happen. So it changed my whole career, and I played much better because of it. But you can apply that same principle in anything you're doing. So if you're feeling stressed, you've got a business meeting, you've got a blog post, whatever, you just go, okay, just breathe, take a few minutes, reset, do one of the breath breaks, reset through the diaphragmatic breathing. And if you do some mind training as well, it just takes it to another level, because the breathing alone will calm your mind. And then now into that calm space, you're now putting these very powerful ideas, and they reinforce each other. The breath work reinforces the underpinning, the foundation for the mind training, and the mind training then will take you into an even calmer state, because ideas have the power to change your state as well. But the breath work just helps. So that's why breathing is pretty fundamental to this whole course, because it's a foundational practice that can really help you to stay in that calm, peaceful state and reset into it pretty quickly. And that's and let go. So the beauty of breath work is there's an inhale, so you can become aware of whatever you need to let go of with the inhalation, and with the exhale, it's a natural letting go process. I'm letting go of the air, and I'm also letting go of what's in my mind.
I'm just going to close this. Dogs barking out there. I use it. It's incorporated into all the stuff, all the meditations and the breath work, the breath breaks that I send you. So by doing those and just following the guidance that I'm giving you, then you're doing it. But you can use it anytime. So just be aware of your breathing during your day. So if you're driving along, you can go, okay, well, why not take a few deep breaths here? While I'm driving, I'm listening to the recording, for instance, or you're cooking, or you're working. Just take the time to, okay, just connect with my breathing. And the breath breaks, if you start taking them regularly, it just help you to get into that mode of like, okay, I'm more aware of my breathing, just by taking a time out every hour or two, just like to really connect with your breath for that 5 minutes or whatever it is. Then you're more likely to be aware of that and stay. The idea is to get into a nice deep diaphragmatic rhythm and breathe that way all the time. And this is just training you to do that. So attention initially, and then at some point it just becomes automatic. You're like, actually, it's just part of how I live my life. I'm breathing nice deep diaphragmatic breaths, and that helps you stay, in that nice zone, which then is the foundation for your life. Your whole life experience then happens in that nice kind of calm, in the zone flow state, which is where you want to get to ultimately. So that's a bit more about breathing. If you've got any questions about that. Okay. One other thing about intermittent hypoxia I wanted to mention is, and most people don't know this, so it's a little secret. Actually, when you go into intermittent hypoxia and your blood levels drop, your blood oxygen levels drop, that is actually the optimal state for stem cell growth, because stem cells grew, when we babies, they grew in a low oxygen environment. In the womb, the oxygen is only coming in through the umbilical cord. So in the womb, the baby is getting like 2% oxygen. So that's where stem cells grow best, actually. And you'll know that the latest kind of research is on stem cells and how you can use stem cells to regenerate and stem cell therapy. Well, the beauty of it is that holding your breath is free. So if you can train your mind to hold your breath for longer than a minute, you start to get the blood oxygen levels start to drop to a level where it's now okay for stem cells to exist. So what then starts to happen is the stem cells that are in parts of your body, like in your bone marrow and stuff, in a low oxygen environment, they will actually start leaving, and they can travel in the bloodstream because it's the oxygen levels are low enough. They can travel in the bloodstream to other areas of the body where they can then they find areas where repair work's needed, and they can then attach there, and they can start this process of regeneration, which is what stem cell injections and stuff do. But just by going into a state of intermittent hypoxia, you can get that effect happening naturally in your body. And I've seen, there's no doubt, I've seen the benefits in my own life. So about 10 years ago, I taught myself to hold my breath for inordinately long times. I can hold my breath for half an hour. 34 minutes actually is the longest that I've timed myself. And then at that point, I was like, okay, well, I need to kind of move on. I can't stay here forever. So it's possible. You can certainly hold for much longer than 5 minutes, which is what the medical industry tells you. You're going to go brain dead but that's just not true. I'm not suggesting you go to that extreme, but if you can start to get into doing it longer than a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, it's really, it's quite hard to start with, because you have to break through this, what I call the breath barrier. There's a part of your system, because you're used to breathing, that wants the air to come in and go out. And it's not actually so much about the oxygen that you need. It's more actually about this habitual pattern of this gas, this air, because air is 16% oxygen, and it's got nitric oxide and nitrogen and etc.
but it's more about the process of breathing. And you're used to that. Your system is habituated to that. So if you're not doing it, it's like, okay, you got to start breathing, and it can become quite intense. You might have noticed in some of the breath holds, like after 30, 40 seconds, it starts to become like I really need to breathe now. So if you can just hold the breath a little bit longer and go, okay, I'm just going to push into that comfort zone. Instead of breathing when I feel like I want to, I just push it a bit longer. I go maybe, instead of 30 seconds, I do a minute. And then at the bottom of the exhale, when you exhale and you blow it all out and you're completely empty, because I'm taking you through those in the meditations, then hold for as long as you can. So instead of like just holding for a few seconds, see if you can go, okay, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Ideally, you want to get it to as long as you can hold between the inhale and the exhale. Then you start to get breath mastery if you can do that. But you can start off with 5 or 10 seconds because now you're completely empty. And so that's intimate, and you go into a hypoxic state where you're completely empty. And the longer you hold that, the more these stem cells are going to have a chance to do their work and go into the bloodstream. And also, what you're training your mind to do is not to get fussed by some kind of apparently external stress. Okay, so the body's stressed, and most people are quite governed by their body. They're like, oh, my body's hungry, I need to breathe, and they just react to that. This is the mind is now learning to control the body. So you're going, no, actually, my mind is stronger than my body. I don't have to react to this need for oxygen straight away. I can override it with my mind. And so you train it. This is mind control. As I said, breath control is mind control. You start to learn to control the breath. You learn to control your mind. If you can hold your breath for half an hour, you can probably do most things in life, can't you? Because it's quite difficult. It's a very fundamental, like basic urge. So you've overcome that. Well, like what can't you do? So I know you're overactive, overachiever. Maybe I've set you on the path of like, okay, I want to learn to hold my breath for half an hour. Not necessarily. That's up to you. But it is doable. It is possible. And if you do that, there's no doubt. I just turned 48, and I would say biologically I'm probably 10 to 15 years younger than that in my body, my appearance, and so on. And I think that is a direct result of a lot of the breath work I've done, the meditation, obviously. And it's a whole lifestyle. But I think the breathing and the meditation are pretty fundamental to that. I think if I hadn't done those, I probably wouldn't look the same and feel the same. My body's still. I've got the body of a 30-year-old. I can still do hill sprints and ride. I'm not feeling like I'm aging. So the side benefits of this kind of thing are enormous. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to keep my body young and fit and healthy. Well, actually, the best way of doing that is doing these spiritual practices. Not because you want the body to be fit and healthy and young looking. You're doing it, to train your mind and find peace and happiness and joy. But the side effects are, the body kind of takes care of itself, which is kind of what he's saying in the course. It's not about, it's not about the body. It's about the mind, and the body will follow suit. So the body just becomes a useful vehicle for your experience in this world that supports you while you need it, and then when you're done with it, you lay it aside because it's not who you really are. So that's a bit more about breath work. Any questions on that?
No, it makes sense.
Okay, so just wanted to give you some of the background to it, and then just to end off, I wanted to show you the hero's journey, which is, I think I've sent you something on it, but maybe that's only in week 2. I think I sent you a link yesterday, but let's have a look. Hero's journey. I'll just pull up I'll pull up an image. Okay, there we go. That's the one I want. Okay, so let's just see if we can blow this up.
Hero's journey. There we go. Okay. So let me share my screen. Okay, can you see that? Okay.
Yes,
Can you see the diagram?
I can, yes.
Okay. It's just not showing your sometimes Zoom does it. It's not showing your box, your little box on the side. As long as you can see it. So this is based on the work of a guy called Joseph Campbell. Have you heard of him?
Yes.
Okay. So he wrote a book on it. And what he did was he went and he studied all the sort of myths, great mythologies of the world. So Greek mythology and Roman mythology and various other cultures. They've all got their myths. And what he found was this common theme, this common idea of the hero's journey that occurred in all of them. And so this diagram just summarizes it. So the hero's journey starts with a call to adventure. It's like, okay, I'm not feeling that comfortable in my existing environment for whatever reason, and I feel like I need to break out. I need to break free. I need to go somewhere else. Often there's a physical journey that's involved in these stories. The hero has to leave his normal society, his normal way of life, his normal society, and he's got to go out of that as part of this. And often there's supernatural figures, supernatural aid. So angels, guides, oracles, these kinds of things all show up in these stories to guide the hero. The hero is looking for some kind of guidance. He's felt this call. He wants to understand it. And then the supernatural aid comes and says, yes, you're kind of on the right path. And they guide him in the right direction. And then you get threshold guardians. So I think what you just started to experience when you mentioned you got irritated was the threshold guardian. So that's the ego. That's your existing thought system going, whoa, hang on. No, this isn't good. We don't want to go. We don't want to go out of our familiar territory, and it's going to try and keep you stuck in the old way of life, stop the whole journey of transformation from happening. Because you're moving from the known into the unknown, and this is all now it's a mental and emotional journey. It's an inner journey. You're not actually leaving your life situation at all. You're going into an inner transformation. So the journey is really to go into unknown parts of your mind. And then you cross the threshold. So if you're willing to push through these barriers and you just go, okay, I'm going to do this, whatever, then the transformation really starts. So that's kind of where you are at the moment. Just starting, you've felt the call to something else. You've been leading up to it for the last few months. It's like now, and I think what you encountered was the threshold guardians. It's like, okay, no, actually, you don't want to do this. You want to stay in your old pattern. You want to get upset. You want to get angry. Because it's the beginning of the end. If you go into this whole journey, it's the beginning of the end for the ego, and it knows it. So it's fighting for its life. But if you push through that and you say, no, you know what, I'm continuing anyway, then often you get mentors and helpers. So that's exactly what's happened with us. You found me. You found a course. You found a guide to help you on the journey, and you might find others. And that can come in the form of a person. It can come in the form of books, movies, billboards, signposts, number plates, just a casual comment someone drops. Just be aware, because when you undertake this journey, then you'll get tests, and you'll also get help in it, because you're undertaking a very profound journey. It's a journey home. It's the reason why you came here.
And you will be tested. As I said, challenges and temptations will come in to test your willingness. So if you notice in the next few weeks that the level of challenge goes up, that you're getting more challenges than normal, you find you're getting more irritated than normal, you react to them more, these are the temptations. So the challenges tempt you to react negatively. They tempt you to go back into the ego's thought system, into the old way of doing things, your old mindset. And the hero's journey is really about overcoming that, undoing that, finding a new way of thinking and of being. So just know that they're going to come, know what this process is about, and know that there's always help. So the daily sessions, the live sessions, the breath breaks, the emails I'm sending you, the WhatsApp messages, all of it's designed to help you on this journey, to overcome the challenges and temptations, not to slide back into irritation and anger and fear, to be able to let them go as they arise. So you're getting a lot of help and support on this path, and I've just designed the process to do that. And you might get it in other ways as well. So just be aware of those, and be grateful for them as they show up. And then there's this idea of the abyss. It's also called the dark night of the soul in spiritual terms. It's like you go through a place that's really not nice. It's almost like you're dying, except you're not dying. It's just your ego dying. It's the death of the old thought system, and the old identity of who you thought you were has to die with it. And this is really what transformation is about. It's about being willing to die to the old self, to be reborn, death and rebirth. This is where revelation can happen. You can have extraordinary spiritual experiences, and that may or may not come in this next 5 weeks. I don't know. Every person's journey is highly individualized. So you might find aspects of this coming up. You're going through some really deep, dark stuff, but that's good. Just welcome it, because you have to face that. You have to go into the abyss, and you have to die to the old self in order to be transformed and to be reborn. That's the whole resurrection, crucifixion, resurrection analogy was just what Jesus lived out, was just an expression of this journey. You have to die to the old self to be reborn to a new self, because the two are incompatible. You cannot be the Son of God, the perfect love, the light of the world, the Christ, the Buddha, and be someone who's getting angry and upset and is very limited to their narrow little self in their perceptions of life. The two contradict each other. So that's where your transformation is about. It's about going through this death and rebirth. You come out of it a transformed person, because you've had an experience that's completely different. It's changed your entire perspective on yourself, on your life. That moves you into a space of at-one-ment, which is what the Course talks about a lot. This is a journey of atonement or at-one-ment, where you're going into the oneness that you are, into a state of mind, a state of being where you connected with love, with your source, with oneness. There's a lot of peace and joy and happiness. And then often you return. Well, you will return into your previous life. In your case, you're not actually leaving your life at all. You're continuing on. So it's a mental and an emotional and spiritual journey. But after the 6 weeks, you return as a transformed person. So in all the myths, the hero would return to their old life, their old society, but they're transformed. They have a completely different way of looking at everything, and people see that. So Jesus, to return to his example of his life, he went away. Some teachings say that he went to the east for years. He went and he studied in Tibet and India, and then he came back, having been on that hero's journey. He came back and he returned, and he was a transformed person, and he brought a new consciousness, some fresh ideas into that culture. In the Bible, he went for 40 days into the wilderness,
to meditate and to fast and to pray. And he went through the hero's journey, but he didn't do anything physically. He just sat there and he worked through the things that were arising. He worked through all of this. He got tempted by the devil. He overcame the temptations. He went through the transformation. He came out, he was baptized, and he returned to his previous life, but he wasn't the same. He never went back to being the same person. He didn't go back into being a carpenter. He, became a teacher of God, and he spent the rest of his life just teaching the truth and bringing something really fresh and new into his culture and into society, which has stayed with us to this day. So that he was an example of someone who went through the hero's journey. So did anyone who went on a spiritual path. The Buddha went through the same thing. As Joseph Campbell said, this myth is in this cycle, this hero's journey is in all these cultures. All the great myths talk about this hero's journey. It's in movies. So if you watch a lot of epic movies, they have this hero's journey in them. So we'll do a bit of film study on The Matrix. The hero's journey is part of that. So you'll get to see that in a movie context. And that's what you've undertaken to do this. To say, okay, I'm willing to, you felt the call, you got some supernatural aid, I connected with you in somewhat of a miraculous way. Now you're at the threshold of like, okay, this is actually, you're going to go into something entirely new and break through into another level of consciousness. So hopefully this process just helps you understand that, what the stages of the journey are and what you can expect, because this is an archetype. This happens for everyone if you're on this kind of journey. And it's not always easy, but if you know that, okay, this is normal, this isn't like everyone who's ever been on this journey has had to go through this, then it becomes easier to deal with. So any questions on that?
No.
Are you still muted?
None from me.
Okay. Yeah. So just bear it in mind. That's what you're on. That's what you're going through, and you might cycle through this many times. You might do the course, and that's like one cycle of this, and you go, okay, yeah, I've been through a version of that, and then it happens again. And every time you do it, it's another level of transformation. So our life is really, if you committed to this path, it's going to be a series of these cycles, going through this over and over again. Each time you go through it, you come back with an expanded perspective. As I'm gonna bring up this quote, dive deep, because it's a great way to end the session. So maybe I'll just do a little meditation on this to end. Unless you've got any questions.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So I'll just read it. I'll read it to you in a little meditation.
Awesome.
Cool. So I'll just record this. I'll send it out as a little breath break to the other groups I have. Okay, so just to close the session, take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Just notice the stomach rising and the chest rising. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Smile. Just connect with this presence, the stillness, the life and essence in you. as you listen to this quote, it's from by the name of Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was a poet, a writer in the 19th century and in America. It's part of a whole transformation movement that happened there. It's one of the leading figures. It's a very spiritual man. This is what he had to say. Be not the slave of your own past. Plunge into the sublime seas. Dive deep and swim far, so you shall come back with new self-respect, with new power, and with an advanced experience that shall explain and overlook the old. So just connect with the essence of this quote, breathing it in, smiling. This is the hero's journey you're on. Taking a deep dive into yourself. It's not an external journey. It's a journey into parts of your mind that you may not want to go to. Only when you're willing to go there, to face your darkness and to release it, can you have true self-respect and a new power and an advanced experience that explains and overlooks the old comes to you. So as you exhale now, just blowing it all out, letting go of any fear of this journey, any negativity in your mind, just drop it all. Blowing it out like a black smoke out of your mouth. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And then just rest here for a few moments in the peace and the stillness. Have a sense of this new self-respect, this new power that are in you. This is an advanced experience that shall explain and overlook the old. And you can carry this with you wherever you go for the rest of your evening on into the week. It's an advanced experience. It's a deeper dive into yourself. Smile. As you feel that power and that self-respect that comes when you're willing to face your darkness and let it go. So give thanks for that. Give thanks for the session we've done. Give thanks for everything in your life that's really helping you. All these helpers on the path come in many forms. So it could be a person, a sign, a billboard, an experience, a movie. Just be aware of the messages that are there to help you on your journey. It's the hero's journey from the darkness to the light, which we are all on, whether we like it or not. Just be conscious about it. Conscious that you're on the journey. Be conscious that to be aware of what's going on the journey. Aware that you're on the journey, aware of the purpose of the journey. aware of your ultimate goal, your destination, which is enlightenment, a state in which you can be perfectly happy, peaceful, loving, and joyful all the time. And then beyond time, this takes you beyond time and space into a state of revelation where you directly experience this power we call God, love for yourself. So I wish you a deep connection with this power, this essence, for the rest of the evening, on into your week. Just remember that no matter what seems to happen in your life, you're really always just one breath away from it. So use meditations and breath breaks that send you just to reconnect with this presence, this essence, to stay in it, to stay connected to it. So we only have problems in life when we disconnect from this presence. When we stop ourselves from taking the journey we're meant to take. Through fear. It's the only thing that blocks us. So just take a minute to stay in this nice, peaceful, calm and fearless state. Let's anchor that state in, so that you can carry it with you for the rest of your day. Just breathe, relax. Nice deep slow inhales and exhales through your nose for the next minute of silence. And so just gently coming back to awareness of the body and the breath. Count of 3, you can open your eyes. So 1, noticing the breath, subtle sensations of the breath, the stomach rising, chest rising, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale, smile. So just use the breath and smile. Put your hand on your heart center to connect with this presence. Our anchors help you change your state very quickly. It only needs to take 1 breath, less than a minute, and you can reconnect with this powerful presence that hopefully you've connected with quite deeply over the last 10 minutes and during today's session. So exhale, sigh it all out. Notice the air flowing out of your nostrils, chest and the stomach suck back in. Energy subsides back down from the crown of your head, down into your lower stomach, your groin. Pause at the bottom of the exhale. So 2, just notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, feet touching the ground. As you breathe in, maybe notice a subtle smell in your nose, a taste in your mouth. Notice what you're hearing as well. Noticing all these things was very calm, peaceful, connected perspective. You don't have to name or judge or label anything, just allow it to be. Notice how peaceful and happy you feel when you're in this state of mind. The more you notice the state, the more it will become your default state. And you'll be able to stay in the state I call flow. Moment by moment, day by day, week by week, month by month, hour by hour. So your life becomes one of flow. You will have an advanced experience. It shall explain and overlook the old, as the quote says. So 3, just open your eyes, look around. Notice how your perception is maybe a little bit different, a little bit calmer, a little bit clearer, a little bit lighter than it was 12 minutes ago when we started this little mini meditation. And when you notice it, just take some time to set the intention to stay there. Okay, so I don't want to stay here, just stay connected to this nice, calm, peaceful, flowing state. If you notice anything that's difficult, that's coming in to block that, and the alarm bell goes off, and you can do a little miniature version of this, just a minute, nice deep breath, connecting with the presence, and using the breath to let go as you exhale, to let go of whatever the thought and the emotion is that's disturbing your peace. That will help you stay very safe, calm, and connected for the rest of the evening, which is what I wish for you. Thank you for listening. Karen, thank you for attending this session. I hope you enjoyed that, and hope to connect with you soon during one of the live sessions in the week at 12:30 UK time, 2:30 South African time, Monday to Friday, and in the evenings at 6:30 p.m. UK time. That's 8:30 p.m. South African time. We do an evening meditation, so join me then. And wishing you much peace and flow in the meantime. Namaste, which means the divine power and peace in me acknowledges and honors that same peace and power in you.